A raw, intense guide to eliminating distraction and mastering deep focus. Every chapter is a direct hit, no fluff, just hard truths and practical systems. It rewires your mindset from dopamine addiction to relentless discipline. You don't just listen, you transform.
Introduction. This isn't just about quitting social media or deleting an app. This is about taking your mind back from a system that's designed to own it. You've been trained, without permission, to chase every notification, every cheap thrill, every shallow hit of dopamine. You've become addicted to distractions that are silently destroying your ability to think deeply, work with intensity, and stay focused for longer than a minute. That ends now. This audiobook is not a suggestion. It's a call to war, a war against the easy life, the lazy mind, and the loop of instant gratification. Dopamine Detox isn't a hack. It's a discipline. It's a mental reset. It's a path that will require sacrifice, boredom, and pain. But on the other side of that struggle, power, clarity, mastery. You'll train your brain to endure discomfort, to find strength in silence, and to focus like a weapon. If you're tired of wasting potential, if you're ready to stop being a slave to your impulses, then this is your manual. No fluff. No excuses. You're here to detox your mind, rebuild your focus, and train yourself for deep work. Let's begin. Chapter 1. Seeing Digital. How dopamine is hijacking your focus. You didn't wake up addicted. You didn't choose to hand your brain over to a screen. But little by little, scroll by scroll, like drops of poison in a clear glass of water, your focus was hijacked. Not stolen all at once, but chipped away, subtly, silently, until you could no longer sit in a room with your thoughts, until silence felt like pressure, until boredom felt unbearable, until the moment you weren't being entertained, you felt like something was wrong. That's not natural. That's not normal. That's the system doing exactly what it was built to do. Turning you into a product, a pair of eyeballs feeding endless attention to someone else's agenda. Dopamine isn't your enemy. It's not evil. It's just chemistry. It's the brain's way of saying, do more of that. It helped us survive. It gave us the spark to hunt, to build, to achieve. But in the wrong hands, it's turned into a weapon, a drug. And in the digital age, we are the lab rats. Every swipe, every like, every ping, engineered to release just enough dopamine to keep you coming back. Not enough to fulfill you, just enough to make you crave more. You're not addicted to the thing. You're addicted to the spike, the chemical charge, the illusion of reward. And it's training your brain to fear stillness, to flee discipline, to run from any activity that doesn't give you a quick high. This is bigger than just social media. It's your entire nervous system being rewired by a world that wants you stimulated and distracted at all times. Video after video, notification after notification, buzzers after buzz. It's all noise, but noise that feels like pleasure. And that's the most dangerous part. It doesn't feel like a trap when it doesn't feel like a prison when it's bright and fast and full of color. But here's the truth you need to burn into your brain. Anything that constantly stimulates you without demanding effort in return is not serving your growth. It's killing it. Let that sink in. Every time you reach for your phone out of habit, not intention, you reinforce a loop. Every time you switch tabs to escape the discomfort of focus, you weaken your mental endurance. And every time you indulge in dopamine without earning it, you rob yourself of the drive that would have pushed you into greatness. There's a reason it's harder to read a book now. There's a reason it's harder to sit still. There's a reason you can't stay focused on a task for more than 10 minutes. It's not because you're lazy. It's because your brain has been hijacked, rewired, overstimulated to the point that deep work feels painful. That's the cost: a stolen attention span, a fragmented mind, and a life that's dictated by whatever grabs your focus, not what deserves it. But here's the good news: you can take it back. You can retrain your brain. You can break the cycle. But it won't be comfortable. It won't be easy. And it damn sure won't be quick. This is not a detox for the faint of heart. This is a rewiring of your nervous system. It's about confronting your cravings head on. It's about starving your distractions so your focus can grow. It's about choosing boredom on purpose so your mind relearns how to function without being spoon-fed stimulation every second. You have to understand what you're really fighting. You're not just quitting apps. You're quitting the invisible reward system that's made your brain allergic to discipline. The thing you're addicted to isn't the screen. It's the instant feedback. It's the constant novelty. It's the emotional sugar high. But all that novelty is a lie. It gives you nothing. It builds nothing. It takes and takes and takes until there's nothing left but anxiety, burnout, and the aching feeling that your best self is slipping further away every day. You want your life back. You want your focus back. You want to be able to sit down and build something meaningful without being torn in 50 directions. Then you need to cut the drug. And like any drug, there's withdrawal. You will feel resistance. You will feel agitated. You will feel restless. That's the point. That's the pain of healing, and you must go through it, not around it. If you want to break free, start by being brutally honest with yourself. How often do you check your phone when nothing urgent is happening? How many times a day do you reach for stimulation when you could be building discipline? Count it, track it, face it. Most people will live their entire lives in denial, pretending they're in control while being pulled like puppets by every beep and buzz. But not you. You're here to fight, to take ownership, to detox your brain so deeply that the silence no longer scares you. When you stop giving your brain constant hits of dopamine, at first it rebels, it screams, it searches, it gets angry. But then, eventually, it resets, it rebalances. Your reward system recalibrates, and what used to feel boring starts to feel good again. You begin to enjoy long-form focus. You begin to crave discipline instead of distraction. You begin to see through the illusion of easy pleasure and find strength in doing hard things. That's the rewiring. That's the transformation. There's nothing wrong with enjoying technology. But there is something deeply wrong with letting it control you. And most people have no idea how much control they've given away. You're not most people. You're listening to this because you're ready to break the chains. Because you're sick of wasting potential. Because there's a deeper part of you that knows you were built for more than this endless cycle of consumption and mental fatigue. Focus is your power. Attention is your weapon. And right now it's scattered. It's diluted. It's bleeding out into a million meaningless interactions every single day. And that has to stop. You need to become a protector of your own mind. You need to guard your attention like your life depends on it. Because it does. In a world where everyone is being pulled in 1,000 directions, the ones who can master their focus will own the future. Not the smartest. Not the most talented. The most disciplined. The most focused. The ones who can sit down, shut out the noise, and lock in for hours while the rest of the world is still scrolling. Dopamine is not your enemy, but your relationship with it has to change. You have to stop chasing it like a junkie and start earning it like a warrior. That means delaying gratification. That means doing deep work before you reward yourself. That means getting high off growth, not escape. Every time you choose discomfort over distraction, you train your mind to be stronger. Every time you push through the urge to check your phone, you build a habit of control. Every time you resist the easy path, you grow into the person you're meant to be. But you won't get there with half effort. You won't get there by casually cutting back. You need to go all in, burn the boats. Commit to the detox like your mind depends on it, because it does. This is your fight, and it won't be won in a single day. It'll be won in moments, in choices, in the split seconds when you either reach for stimulation or stay still, when you either cave to the craving or rise above it. Those moments will define you, and if you stay consistent, if you stay ruthless, your brain will change, your life will change. You will begin to see the world differently. The noise won't pull you in the same way. The distractions won't feel as powerful. You'll start to feel calm where you once felt chaos, focused where you once felt scattered, driven where you once felt lost. That's what happens when you take your mind back from the drug. That's what happens when you train your brain for deep work. So let the detox begin. Let the discomfort come. Let the cravings rise and fall. You are not your impulses. You are not your habits. You are the one who chooses what kind of life you will live. And if you choose discipline, if you choose mastery, if you choose deep work over shallow thrills, there is no limit to what you can build. Your potential is buried under noise. It's time to dig it out, one moment of focus at a time, one hard choice at a time, one day at a time. And when the rest of the world is still asleep, still scrolling, still distracted, you'll be building, you'll be rising, you'll be winning. Chapter 2c. The Trap of Easy Pleasure. Escaping the addiction to comfort. You don't get stronger by staying comfortable. You don't get sharper by doing what feels good. You grow by choosing pain over pleasure, discomfort over ease, purpose over indulgence. But the world doesn't teach you that anymore. Instead, it pushes a lie into your hands, your eyes, your ears. The idea that happiness comes from constant pleasure, that you deserve to feel good all the time, that you should be entertained, comfortable, satisfied, 24 hours a day. That lie is destroying people. It's weakening minds, eroding discipline, and killing the hunger that builds great lives. You have to see comfort for what it really is, a trap. A soft, silent, seductive trap. It doesn't look dangerous, it feels nice. But it's a prison, because the more you feed your desire for comfort, the weaker you get. The more you seek easy pleasure, the less you can handle hard things. And when you lose your ability to face hard things, you lose your power, you lose your edge. You lose the very thing that separates the driven from the drifting. Easy pleasure is cheap. That's why it's everywhere. It's in your phone, your food, your habits, your thoughts. And it gives you nothing, no progress, no self-respect, no growth. Just a quick hit, followed by emptiness. Think about how many times you've traded your time, your most valuable resource, for a few seconds of cheap pleasure. Think about how many hours you've wasted chasing a feeling that fades the moment you get it. That's not living. That's escaping. That's running from the work, from the grind, from the version of yourself that's waiting on the other side of sacrifice. The addiction to comfort isn't just physical. It's mental. It's emotional. It creeps into how you think, how you move, how you respond to resistance. You start avoiding anything that challenges you. You start making excuses for anything that's not instantly satisfying. And you start living small. You start choosing soft routines, soft people, soft goals. And every time you do, your mind adapts. It adjusts to the lower standard. It becomes allergic to effort, allergic to anything that feels like friction. That's why most people never reach their potential. Not because they aren't smart. Not because they don't want more, but because they're too attached to comfort to break through the pain required for transformation. They think they can change while staying cozy. They think they can grow while avoiding discomfort. But real growth doesn't happen in comfort. It happens in chaos, in grind, in repetition, in sacrifice. That's where the real you is forged. You want to change your life. Then you need to get uncomfortable on purpose. You need to create friction. You need to chase what hurts instead of running from it. Because what hurts builds. The resistance sharpens you. The pain humbles you. The pressure refines you. And every time you endure it, you become harder to break, harder to shake, harder to distract. You have to develop a new relationship with pain. Not as something to avoid, but as something to seek. Not as a punishment, but as a teacher. Comfort has lied to you for too long. It said, "This is peace." But that wasn't peace. That was sedation. That was stagnation. That was you sitting still while life moved on without you. Peace isn't the absence of pressure. It's the presence of purpose. It's the strength to stay calm in chaos, not the cowardice to avoid it altogether. You have to understand, everything you want is buried under layers of discomfort. The body you want, the discipline you want, the focus you crave, the business, the mindset, the legacy. All of it demands pain, and you will never taste it until you stop numbing yourself with the easy stuff. So look at your life. Look at your habits. Look at the comfort zones you've built like walls around your potential. How many of them are killing your drive? How many of them are robbing you of urgency? How many of them are making you weaker every single day? because if you don't break them, they'll break you. Slowly, quietly. Comfort won't destroy your life in one blow. It'll drain you over time. It'll keep you just satisfied enough to never change. Just entertained enough to never build. Just stimulated enough to never focus. Until one day, you look in the mirror and see someone who's still talking about what they're going to do, still dreaming, still planning, but never executing. Because execution requires pain, and comfort is allergic to pain. You have to become dangerous again. You have to rewire yourself to crave the hard path. That means waking up early when you don't want to. That means working out when your body says rest. That means focusing when your mind says scroll. That means building when everyone else is relaxing. That means choosing the hard route, because that's the one that transforms you. The world doesn't need more people chasing soft lives. It needs people who are willing to suffer for greatness. Every time you avoid discomfort, you give away power. Every time you run toward comfort, you shrink. But every time you step into the pain, every time you embrace the burn, every time you go further than your feelings, you take your power back. You build colossus on your mind. You build armor around your will. And eventually, the things that once felt unbearable start to feel normal. You stop flinching. You stop folding. You start dominating, because pain is temporary. Comfort is a slow death. Discipline is forever. But don't get it twisted. This isn't about being hard for the sake of it. This is about freedom, true freedom. The kind that comes from being in full control of your thoughts, your urges, your direction. That only happens when you stop being a slave to your comforts, when you stop looking for the easy way out. When you stop compromising your standards just because it's a little easier, a little faster, a little more convenient. It's not about being perfect. It's about being deliberate. It's about recognizing that your comfort zone is a liar and your craving for easy pleasure is a thief. You want clarity, remove comfort. You want confidence, earn it through discipline. You want energy. Stop giving your time to meaningless pleasures that drain your drive. Every time you sit in the fire and don't run, your mind adapts. It gets tougher, stronger, sharper, and suddenly, things that used to feel hard now feel light. You start choosing the stairs instead of the elevator. You start showing up without motivation. You start working through resistance like it's nothing. That's the shift. That's the power. That's what happens when you walk away from easy pleasure and step into the path of purpose. The only reason you're not further in life is because of the times you chose comfort when you should have chosen challenge. You stayed in bed. You stayed on the couch. You stayed scrolling. You stayed satisfied when you should have been hungry. But the past is done. Today is yours. Right now is your reset. So make a decision, not a wish, not a hope. A decision to live differently, to go against the grain, to cut off the easy things and do what's hard, because that's what shapes you. Delete the app, turn off the noise. Wake up earlier. Read when you feel restless. Train when you feel lazy. Grind when no one is watching. Do what's necessary, not what's comfortable. Because once you escape the trap of easy pleasure, you unlock the life most people will never touch. The life of strength, mastery, focus, and unshakable purpose. That's not a fantasy. That's what's waiting on the other side of your comfort zone. But you've got to walk through the fire. Not once, every day. With intention, with hunger. With rage in your heart for every moment you've lost to cheap comfort. Replace it with progress. Replace it with pride that comes from knowing you earned every inch of your transformation. Because this isn't just about focus. It's about who you're becoming. It's about the kind of life you want to live. And if you want a life that means something, you better be ready to bleed for it. No more escaping. No more hiding behind soft routines and easy choices. From this day forward, you rise with discomfort. You walk with pain. You train in silence. And you leave the weak version of you behind in the comfort zone that tried to keep you small. You're not meant to live a life of easy pleasure. You're meant to dominate. Now act like it. Chapter 3. Hey, cut the cord, eliminate the noise. That's controlling you. Noise isn't just sound. It's everything that drags your attention away from what matters. It's the vibration in your pocket you check without thinking. It's the open plan office chatter leaking into your thoughts. It's the endless tabs, the background music, the unstoppable river of memes, hot takes, and half-baked opinions that pour through your devices. It's every unsolicited voice competing for your inner bandwidth. Noise is the flixatleth, the saboteur of mastery, the silent assassin that murders your best ideas before they can breathe. It keeps you reactive, jumpy, half awake, living in 10 directions and moving in none. And if you don't cut the cord, the noise will wrap itself around you like ivy and strangle every ounce of potential you have left. Understand, creators and consumers process the same 24 hours, but only one group manufactures value. The difference isn't talent, it's how aggressively they defend their cognitive territory. They guard it like a fortress. They treat silence as sacred space. They choose signal over clutter with a discipline that borders on fanaticism. You think they're lucky? No, they're ruthless. They've audited every information source, every conversation, every ritual, and banned anything that doesn't sharpen their mission. That's the standard you need to adopt. Not tomorrow, not once things calm down. But now, before another day dissolves into trivial distractions you won't even remember. Start with the obvious chord: social media feeds that never end, group chats that never sleep, news cycles that inflate your anxiety and shrink your agency. These platforms are engineered slot machines. You're not scrolling information, you're pulling levers, chasing variable rewards, teaching your brain to equate novelty with necessity. Delete the apps you compulsively open. Disable notifications on the ones you must keep. Log out every time you're done so friction stands guard at the gate. Remember, technology is a tool. When it starts using you, sever the link. But noise is deeper than screens. It's the people echoing mediocrity around you. The friend who drags every conversation back to gossip. The coworker whose favorite sport is complaining. The relative who can't wait to inject fear into your ambition. Their words become background static inside your skull. You can't plant greatness in polluted soil. Set boundaries so firm they feel like walls. Reduce exposure or cut ties outright. That's harsh, they'll say. No, mediocrity is harsh. Wasting your one life on chatter that goes nowhere is harsh. You don't owe anyone access to your mind. Access must be earned with respect, positivity, and momentum. Your physical environment speaks too. Clutter whispers distraction. Piles of unfinished projects hum with guilt. An unmade bed broadcasts disorder. Walk through every room you occupy and evaluate: does this object, this color, this layout energize or disperse me? If it drains, remove it. If it distracts, hide it. If it serves no purpose, donate it. Monk-like clarity isn't accidental, it's architected. Each cleared surface is a vote for mental spaciousness. Each intentional placement is a declaration: I control what enters my world. Then audit your habits. The morning glance at email, just in case. The coffee shop where the TV blares sensational headlines. The podcast during every workout that leaves your mind littered with fragmented thoughts. All noise. Replaces then cultivate focus instead of fracturing it. Silence during sunrise lifts the curtain on fresh ideas. A single song on loop can sink you into flow instead of yanking you from it. Reading a physical book trains sustained attention. Every turned page is a rep in the gym of concentration. Cutting the cord demands a wartime mentality because noise fights back. It will camouflage itself as networking, staying informed, or wind-down entertainment. It will guilt-trip you with FOMO, seduce you with convenience, weaponize boredom until your fingers twitch toward old habits. Expect withdrawal, expect phantom, expect the sudden realization of how loud your own thoughts are when external clamor fades. Sit with that turbulence. Let it roar. On the other side is a mind so quiet you can hear conviction speak. Implement tactical constraints. Work with your phone in another room. Distance is the cheapest productivity hack on earth. Batch communication into fixed windows. Outside those windows, the world can wait. Schedule deep work blocks and guard them with your life. Use noise-canceling headphones not just for sound, but for symbolism. They are your helmet in the battle for brilliance. When someone interrupts, hold the line. I'm in the middle of something. Can we talk at 2? Every defended minute compounds into hours, days, years of mastery others will never touch. Choose your signals carefully. Curate a micro-diet of voices that challenge, elevate, and refine you. One mentor's podcast beats 10 random shows. One classic book reread with intensity beats a shelf of skimmed bestsellers. One mastermind group committed to action beats 1,000 comment section debates. Feed your mind fewer inputs of higher potency. Information dense in insight, lean in drama, rich in utility. The goal is not to know everything, it's to know what moves the needle. Silence isn't empty, it's fertile. When noise dies, creativity germinates. Insights bubble up unprompted. Patterns within problems reveal themselves. Your inner compass recalibrates. You discover what you actually think, believe, without algorithms steering you. In that stillness, you remember you're a builder, not just a consumer. You remember the rush of losing yourself in work that matters. You remember that depth is addictive in the best way, delivering a satisfaction that ephemeral pleasures can't imitate. And once you taste that state, hours disappearing, progress accelerating, awareness narrowing to a razor's edge, you'll realize why the masters guard it so fiercely. Flow is not a luxury. It's the default setting of an undistracted brain. The world merely convinced you otherwise. Return to that state often enough and it becomes your norm. Then you'll watch distractions with clinical detachment, like a former smoker watching somebody light up. That used to control me. Now it looks pathetic. Cutting the cord isn't a one-time purge, it's a daily discipline. Noise creeps back like weeds. Review your inputs weekly. Reassess relationships monthly. Reset your environment each season. Each time you level up, the stakes rise. Bigger projects, louder critics, subtler temptations. Maintain vigilance. Simplicity must be policed. The more influence you gain, the more aggressively the world will try to rent space in your mind. Charge infinity. Decline applications. You might fear becoming isolated, missing opportunities, losing touch. Reality check: the highest value opportunities aren't hiding in comment threads. They're produced by sustained output and a reputation for excellence. Operate in silence, then let your work broadcast for you. People notice results louder than chatter. The right allies respect boundaries. They mirror your discipline. The wrong ones drift away, and that's a filter, not a loss. Remember the formula: attention equals life. Spend it on junk, live a junk life. Invest it in depth, live a deep life. This choice compounds faster than money. A distracted hour can derail a day. A focused day can leapfrog a month. Stack focused days and you'll bend years into shapes ordinary schedules can't imagine. That novel, that startup, that body, that movement, whatever mountain calls you, will rise from the earth under the weight of your concentrated will. So draw your sword. Delete, declutter, disconnect. Harness boredom like a beast of burden pulling you toward creation. Guard silence like gold. Feel every inch of resistance and slice through it. Let the world scream. You're building signal in the quiet. Let mediocrity gossip. You're drafting greatness in secluded chambers. Let comfort scowl. You're forging a mindset that echoes thunder. You have one mind, one bandwidth, one lifetime. Fill it with what matters. All else is noise. Cut the cord. Chapter 14. The withdrawal phase, where the real battle begins. When you start cutting the dopamine, your brain will rebel. Make no mistake, this is war. Not a flashy war with enemies you can see, but a silent one, fought in the dark corners of your mind where comfort used to live. This is the part no one talks about, the part that breaks most people before they even get started. It's not the detox that's hard. It's the withdrawals. It's the absence. It's the raw emptiness that screams louder than any noise you've ever tried to cut. And if you're not ready to face that fully, brutally, and without flinching, you'll run right back to the distractions that owned you. Because when the dopamine supply is cut, the fog lifts. But it doesn't feel like clarity at first. It feels like agitation. It feels like restlessness, like the itch under your skin that no amount of scratching can fix. You'll feel uncomfortable in your own mind. The silence will feel hostile. The boredom will feel endless. Your hands will twitch toward your phone before your brain even realizes it. You'll check the fridge, not because you're hungry, but because your mind is starving for stimulation. It's a ghost hunger. an empty craving built on years of indulging in shallow pleasures. This is where most people quit. This is where they say, "This isn't working," but this is exactly where it is working. This is the purge. This is the pain that precedes progress. Your brain is recalibrating. It's trying to figure out where the constant stream of highs went. You've trained it to expect spikes, to chase little hits of joy without effort, and now you've taken them away. You've removed the comfort blanket, and the mind starts to panic. That panic is the withdrawal. That's what healing feels like. Not calm, not ease, turmoil. But here's the truth: the pain is a sign you're waking up. Every bit of discomfort you feel is proof that your system was. Every second you sit in that storm without running back to distraction is a rep in the mental gym, a rep in the war for your focus, a rep in the building of the future version of you, the disciplined, undistracted, driven machine who can sit in silence and create like a weapon. It will not happen in a day. You will not wake up tomorrow and feel better. You will wrestle with demons. You will bargain with yourself. You will say, "Just 5 minutes on my favorite app." You will convince yourself that one video, one scroll, one harmless glance won't undo the progress. But it will, because it's not about the time. It's about the habit. It's about the muscle you're trying to build. Every time you give in, you tear it down. Every time you resist, you reinforce it. You're not just detoxing your dopamine system. You're detoxing your identity. You're letting go of the version of you that couldn't sit still, couldn't focus, couldn't say no. That version is dying. And just like any death, there's grief, there's resistance, there's a deep discomfort in shedding the skin of who you used to be. That's why this phase feels like hell. But it's also why it's sacred. It's a rite of passage. It's the price of becoming someone new. During the withdrawal phase, everything feels exaggerated. Boredom feels like torture. Minor setbacks feel like failure. Time slows down. Seconds stretch into minutes, minutes into hours. Tasks that used to feel bearable now feel impossible. But you're not regressing. You're detoxing. Your nervous system is screaming because it's being rewired. The circuits that once fired non-stop for fast pleasure are being forced to slow down. It's uncomfortable because it's unfamiliar. But discomfort is not danger. Pain is not a stop sign. It's the fuel for reinvention. This is where you start learning how to sit with yourself. No screens, no noise. Just you, your breath, your thoughts. And at first it will be brutal. You'll feel unproductive. You'll feel anxious. You'll feel like running. But if you stay in the room, if you stay in the chair, if you stay in the moment without numbing or escaping or compromising, you'll find something incredible on the other side of your raw, undiluted mind, and it will be a mess at first. Years of noise leave behind chaos. Your thoughts will race. Your focus will flicker. You'll feel the weight of every decision you've avoided, every distraction you've used to escape. But don't run. This is the cleaning process. This is your mind trying to organize itself again. Let it sort, let it burn, let it purge the clutter so clarity can rise. Eventually, you'll hit a point where the withdrawal starts to shift. The pain becomes manageable. The urge is dull. You stop checking your phone every 5 minutes. You stop needing something to fill the silence. And that's when you realize you're getting your power back. Slowly, quietly, but undeniably, you begin to notice how much lighter your mind feels. You begin to taste focus again, not the scattered kind, the deep kind, the locked-in kind, the kind that makes hours vanish. That's the payoff. That's what you're fighting for. But don't get comfortable yet. This is where the second enemy arrives, your own memory. The memory of how good the distractions used to feel. Not how they felt during the spiral, but the fake highlight reel your brain plays when it wants comfort. You'll remember the dopamine highs without remembering the crashes. The mind is a master manipulator when it's in pain. It will romanticize the very habits that kept you weak. It will sell you a version of the past that looks better than it was. Don't buy it. You must be brutal here. You must remind yourself of what you escaped. You must hold the mirror up to every wasted hour, every dead-end scroll session, Every moment you chose shallow over depth and paid for it with regret. Burn that image into your mind, not as shame, but as fuel. Fuel to keep going. Fuel to push forward. Fuel to never go back. Because once you make it through withdrawal, once you cross the fire, once you find peace in discipline, the world changes. Everything slows down. You see the trap in every ad, every ping, every platform trying to claw you back into their world. You see how controlled you used to be. And that awareness is power. Because now you choose. Now you act from intention, not impulse. Now you don't react to the world, you create inside it. But only if you endure the withdrawals. Only if you outlast the noise. Only if you prove to yourself that you don't need the highs to stay steady. Because when you can sit in boredom without flinching, when you can stare down cravings without caving, when you can exist in the quiet without reaching for a hit, then you are free. This phase will test everything. It will break the weak version of you if you let it, but that's the point. That version has to die so the focused, grounded, elite version of you can take its place, and no one can do that work for you. No one can suffer for you. This is your fire to walk through, your war to fight, your battle to win. There is no shortcut, no life hack, no trick. There is only grit, will, reps, repetition. Sit through the discomfort again and again and again until it no longer owns you, until it no longer shakes you, until your mind learns that it doesn't need a flood of dopamine to feel alive. It just needs purpose. And when you come out the other side, when your focus returns, when your energy surges, when your clarity sharpens, you'll understand why most people never get here. They didn't have the stomach for the withdrawals. But you did. You stayed, you fought, you conquered the craving, and now you're dangerous again, so welcome the withdrawal. Lean into it. Let it hurt. Let it teach. Let it rip apart the parts of you that were never meant to last. Because when the storm clears, the version of you that remains will be forged in fire, focused like a laser, and immune to the noise that once controlled your life. This is the war for your mind. And you're winning. Chapter 50. Reclaim your mind. The discipline to sit with boredom. You've been trained to fear boredom, conditioned to run from it. Programmed to treat silence as a problem. The moment nothing stimulates you, your fingers twitch. Your mind fidgets. You reach for a screen, a snack, a sound, anything to fill the void. That's not by accident, that's design. You've been taught that boredom is bad, but boredom is not your enemy. It's your gateway to focus. It's the proving ground for your discipline, and if you can't sit with it, you will never reclaim your mind. The world has turned boredom into a disease. But boredom is a signal. It's the moment right before your brain wakes up. Right before you start thinking independently. Right before depth begins. It's what comes after the noise fades, after the distractions are stripped away, after the dopamine has dried up. Boredom is the detox zone, and it's where most people break. Because they never learn to sit still. They never learn to stay with their own thoughts long enough to hear the signal beneath the static. Think about that. How long can you sit in a room with no music, no phone, no task, just you and your mind? 5 minutes. 10. If you're like most people, it feels unbearable. That's not a time problem. That's a training. Your brain has been wired to jump. It's been programmed to seek stimulation like a dog chases noise. And you wonder why you can't focus. Why you can't stay locked in. Why deep work feels so far away. It's because you've lost your ability to be still, and without stillness you'll never find clarity. But here's the truth. Boredom is the doorway to creativity. It's the starting line of transformation. The greatest minds in history, philosophers, inventors, writers, warriors, they all knew how to sit in the stillness. They weren't afraid of boredom. They lived in it. Because they understood that boredom isn't empty. It's raw space. It's untapped potential. It's mental silence before the storm of deep thought. But most people never make it to that storm. They bail. They escape. They convince themselves that productivity means constant activity. But that's not productivity. That's noise dressed as motion. If you want to reclaim your mind, you must start by reclaiming your ability to sit with nothing. No input, no escape, no crutch, just you, your breath, your thoughts. and all the restlessness that comes with them. At first, it will feel wrong. It will feel like you're wasting time, like you should be doing something. That's your addiction speaking. That's the dopamine system protesting. That's your ego demanding stimulation to avoid self-confrontation. But if you can endure that friction, if you can hold the line, something profound starts to happen. The chaos in your mind begins to slow. The mental fog starts to lift. Patterns emerge, thoughts untangle. You start to hear yourself again. Not the version that reacts, not the version that chases impulses, the version that nods, the version that builds, the version that focuses like a weapon. Stillness is a mirror, and most people don't like what they see. Because in the silence you hear the truth. You feel the fear you've buried. You notice the gaps you've ignored. You confront the discipline you've avoided. And that confrontation is uncomfortable, but it's also necessary. That's where you start to take control. That's where you stop being a slave to every external trigger. That's where you remember that you're not just here to consume. You're here to create. The world is starving for people who can go deep, people who can focus longer than a headline, people who can think beyond reaction, people who can sit in discomfort long enough to build something meaningful. That's not talent. That's discipline. That's a skill. And boredom is the training ground. You want to write the book. You want to build the brand. You want to master your craft. Then you better be able to sit in boredom. You better be able to go through the mental withdrawal of not being entertained. Because deep work doesn't start when you open your laptop. It starts when you unplug from everything else. When you unplug from the noise, the opinions, the fast hits of pleasure that give you nothing but distraction. Discipline is forged in the hours you spend doing the work no one sees, in the quiet, in the boring, in the repetition. That's the price of mastery. That's the entrance fee to greatness. You don't earn it by chasing stimulation. You earn it by standing your ground when your brain screams for escape. The lie you've been sold is that life should always feel exciting, that progress should always feel fun. But that lie is killing your potential, because the real transformation happens in the moments that feel dull. The grind, the stillness, the hours spent alone with nothing but your own power. That's where you separate yourself. That's where you get strong. Reclaiming your mind doesn't require superpowers. It requires you to stop running from the discomfort of silence, to train yourself to stay, to sit, to breathe, to think. You'll notice the cravings at first. You'll notice your body trying to run. You'll notice the panic in your thoughts trying to fill the space. But you must resist. You must observe without reacting. You must retrain the part of your brain that believes stimulation is survival. Because once you train that, once you build that capacity, you unlock a level of clarity that most people never experience. You start seeing problems before they explode. You start feeling calm in chaos. You start making decisions from a place of grounded focus, not panicked reactivity. You start to see how manipulated your mind used to be, how impulsive your attention had become, how much of your power you'd given away. You begin to realize that boredom is not the enemy. Boredom is your compass. It points you toward the work that matters. It reveals the gaps in your routine. It shows you where you've been numbing instead of growing. And when you learn to sit with it, you begin to master it. You stop fearing the quiet. You stop needing noise. You stop reaching for cheap fixes. You begin to reclaim full control over your mental operating system. The discipline to sit with boredom isn't glamorous. It won't impress anyone. It won't get you likes. But it will build something far more powerful: self-governance. It will give you the inner strength to say no to the superficial, to delay gratification, to go deep when others go wide. And in a world that's being hijacked by dopamine, that discipline becomes your superpower. You're not going to feel like doing this every day. You're not going to love the silence. But you must show up anyway. You must treat every boring moment like a rep. Every minute spent without reaching for stimulation is a victory. Every time you resist the urge to check your phone, you get stronger. Every moment you sit in the discomfort of stillness, you sharpen your edge. This is not about removing pleasure from your life. It's about removing your dependency on it. It's about breaking the cycle that tells you boredom must be fixed. It's about restoring your natural ability to focus, to think, to create without needing to be entertained. Because the greatest work you will ever produce will not come from a place of hype. It will come from the quiet. It will come from the days when you feel nothing. From the days when nothing is exciting. From the days when you push through anyway. That's where greatness is built, in the trenches of repetition, in the boring hours, in the stillness that no one else can tolerate. You want to live a life that matters? Learn to embrace boredom. Learn to sit in the silence and listen. Learn to resist the easy escape and stay present with what's uncomfortable. Because boredom isn't the enemy. Boredom is the test, and when you pass it, when you learn to sit through it, you'll unlock a level of strength that no algorithm, no app, no distraction can ever touch. That strength will change your life. But first, you have to earn it. Chapter 6E, Rewire Your Brain, Build a New Reward System. You've been tricked. Your brain has been hijacked. The reward system that's supposed to drive you toward growth, achievement, and fulfillment has been rewired to chase garbage. Short hits, empty highs, dopamine bursts from things that give you nothing and cost you everything. You scroll, you snack, you binge, you numb. And for what? A second of fake joy that disappears before you even notice it was there. That's the game you've been stuck in. And if you want to reclaim your mind, your focus, your discipline, your life, you have to rewire it. You have to build a new reward system, one that doesn't depend on stimulation, but is forged through self-control and long-term vision. Let's start with truth. Dopamine isn't the problem. Dopamine is just a messenger. It's your brain's way of signaling, hey, this matters. Let's do more of this. It's motivation, drive, anticipation. It's what moves you forward. But here's the catch. Your brain doesn't care whether what you're doing is useful or destructive. It rewards repetition. It rewards what you've conditioned it to associate with pleasure. So every time you chase a cheap hit, social media, junk food, another YouTube rabbit hole, you're teaching your brain, this is what matters. And it listens. It adapts. It reinforces those circuits. Until one day, your mind is wired to crave things that are actively destroying your momentum. This is the trap most people never escape, because they try to change their life without changing their internal wiring. They try to build focus on top of a broken reward system. But you can't out-discipline bad programming. You have to rewrite the code. You have to teach your brain to want the things that actually make you better. Not through force, through frequency, through association, through exposure. Rewiring starts by starving the current circuit. You stop giving your brain the garbage it's used to. No more doom scrolling, no more instant pleasure for no reason, no more just one more episode every time you're tired. You start by saying no, not to punish yourself, but to create space. You remove the artificial rewards so your brain starts looking for natural ones, and at first, it resists. It panics. It feels like everything's broken. You're bored, restless, irritable, because the feedback loop it was addicted to is gone. That's withdrawal. That's the signal that change is beginning. Now comes the hard part, the rebuild. You have to replace the broken loop with a better one. You have to teach your brain that discipline feels better than indulgence. That progress is more rewarding than pleasure. That the dopamine hit from writing one paragraph, completing one workout, building one habit, that hit is real. And once you feel it, once you associate that with satisfaction, the game changes. You stop chasing comfort. You start chasing growth. But here's the truth most won't admit at first. The rewards feel dull. They don't match the rush you used to get from distraction. A focused hour of work won't light you up like a TikTok scroll. Reading a book won't spike your brain like sugar. It's slower, it's quieter, but it's deeper. It lasts, it compounds. The more you do it, the stronger the association becomes. And eventually, the high from making progress starts to replace the high from escaping. That's when the shift happens. You start craving the next step. You start enjoying the burn. You start getting hooked on execution instead of entertainment. You wake up and instead of needing stimulation to feel alive, you need momentum. You need a win. You need the satisfaction that only comes from discipline. That's not accidental. That's conditioning. That's deliberate rewiring. But you have to be relentless. You have to reward the right behaviors every time. You can't half commit. You can't praise yourself for working hard and then undo it with a dopamine binge. That creates confusion. You need clarity. You need alignment. When you do the work, reward yourself with something real, not junk, not escape, a cold shower, a walk in silence, a note of gratitude, the satisfaction of crossing something off a list. It sounds simple, but it works. Your brain starts learning effort equals reward. Discipline equals dopamine. And soon, your desires shift. Your habits evolve. Your identity changes. Because the real goal isn't just behavior change. It's identity change. You're not just someone who avoids distractions. You're someone who loves the work. You don't just resist temptation. You despise it. Because you've seen what it costs. You've felt the emptiness it brings. And you've tasted something better: growth, progress, mastery. And once you taste that, you don't want to go back. Think about the long-term reward system you're building. Every deep work session you finish is a brick in the foundation of your future. Every moment you resist the urge to escape, you gain strength. Every repetition rewires the system. And slowly but surely, you become the type of person who doesn't need noise to feel okay. You become someone who seeks discomfort, not to suffer, but to sharpen. You start to crave the slow climb instead of the fast fix. And that's how you win. But don't romanticize the process. Rewiring your brain is hard. There are no shortcuts. There will be days you feel flat, days you relapse, days you want to go back to the old hits. But you must stand firm. You must remember what you're building. You must remind yourself that every urge is an opportunity, a test. And if you pass it, you reinforce the new wiring. You take back one more inch of control, one more inch of freedom. This is how transformation really works. Not through hype, not through willpower alone, through repetition, through choosing the hard path every single day until the hard path becomes the only path, until your brain stops craving dopamine from destruction and starts craving it from domination. Domination of your habits, of your time, of your mind. So ask yourself, what does your brain crave right now? Is it something that makes you weaker, or something that makes you sharper? Is it noise or signal? Is it escape or progress? Your answer will tell you everything about where you're heading. And if the answer isn't what you want, change it. Not later, not next week. Now, build new cues, reinforce new rewards, create new rituals. Your habits are how you speak to your brain. Make sure you're sending the right message. You are not broken. You are not lazy. You are not doomed to distraction. You're just wired wrong, and wiring can be fixed, rewired, rebuilt, but only if you choose it, only if you go all in, only if you're willing to suffer a little now to experience the firepower of a focused mind later. Because once you rewire your brain, once the reward system is aligned with your mission, everything changes. You stop fighting yourself. You stop debating every decision. You stop living in mental tug-of-war. Your brain becomes your ally. Your desires support your discipline. Your habits accelerate your progress. And momentum becomes natural. That's not fantasy. That's the result of consistent, deliberate, focused work, and it's waiting for you right now. So start today. Start small. Start real. One habit, one focus block, one win. And when you finish it, celebrate it, anchor it, lock it in. Let your brain know this is what matters now. This is what we chase. This is who we are, because the future belongs to those who are addicted to execution. Addicted to depth, not because they were born that way, but because they rewired their brain to crave the grind. And if they can do it, so can you. Rebuild, rewire. Reclaim your mind. Chapter 70. Create systems, not willpower battles. Willpower is a lie if you rely on it alone. The world keeps telling you to be stronger, to be more disciplined, to fight harder. But that's not the solution. You don't win this war through raw effort alone. You win by building a battlefield where you don't have to fight every day. You win by creating systems, habits, environments, rituals. You win by removing the decision before the temptation even arrives. Because if you keep forcing yourself to choose every time, eventually you'll choose wrong. Not because you're weak, but because you're human. And if your environment isn't built to support your growth, it will pull you back into your old patterns every single time. You need to stop relying on moment-to-moment willpower and start building a life that pushes you toward focus automatically. Think about it. Why is it easier to work out when your gym clothes are laid out the night before? Why is it easier to write when your desk is clean and distraction-free? Why do you stay up late watching garbage when your phone is next to your bed? It's not discipline. It's design. You've either engineered success or you've engineered sabotage. There's no neutral ground. Your systems are either making success inevitable or making failure automatic. So let's stop pretending like you need more motivation. You don't need another hype video. You don't need to wait until you feel like it. What you need are systems that strip away the need for constant decision-making. You need to turn discipline into automation. You need to make your default environment so frictionless for focus, and so friction-filled for distraction, that you can't help but do the right thing. Start with your space. Your physical environment is either a trigger for discipline or a magnet for chaos. Look around your room, your workspace, your phone. What's visible? What's accessible? What's draining your focus the second you walk in? Every item you see is either reinforcing who you want to become or dragging you back to who you used to be. Remove friction from good habits. Add friction to bad ones. If social media kills your momentum, log out after every session. Delete the apps you mindlessly scroll. Put your phone in another room when you're doing deep work. If healthy eating matters, don't stock your kitchen with junk and expect willpower to carry you at 11 p.m. Make failure inconvenient. Make success automatic. Then move to your routines. Your day should not be a question mark. You shouldn't wake up and ask, "What should I do today?" The blueprint should already be laid. You should have anchors, morning rituals, time blocks, pre-commitments, because the mind that has to decide every hour will burn out by lunch. Decision fatigue is real. It drains your ability to stay disciplined. Remove the decisions. Build the systems. Wake up, hydrate, stretch, right train. Focus, block, recovery, plan tomorrow. Simple, repeatable, ruthless. People underestimate the power of boring consistency. They think discipline means grinding 24/7, but true discipline is quiet, predictable, boring to outsiders, but powerful to the builder. It's not about heroic effort. It's about zero hesitation. Systems eliminate the debate. The structure does the heavy lifting. You don't need to summon motivation when the ritual already started without you. And yes, it will feel forced at first. It will feel unnatural. Your old self will protest. Your brain will scream for freedom. But what it really wants is chaos, randomness, the freedom to indulge, and then blame fatigue for failure. That version of you has to die. You can't keep living in a system that makes your goals harder than they need to be. You need structure that breeds momentum, even when you're tired. Especially when you're tired. Understand this: motivation is emotional. Systems are structural. One fails when your mood drops. The other holds even when you don't want it to. If you've ever been productive on a bad day because your environment was set up right, that's proof. That's power. Your system saved you. You didn't have to think. You didn't have to push. The track was already laid. All you had to do was walk it. That's the goal. A life where you're pulled forward by systems, not dragged back by decision fatigue. You want to make the disciplined path the easiest one. Let discipline be default. Let habits handle the heavy lifting. You want to write every day. Set a system, same place, same time, same tools. Ritualize it so hard that anything else feels off. You want to train consistently. Set clothes out the night before. Schedule it on the calendar. Prep your post-workout meal in advance. You want to lock into deep work. Block distractions in your browser. Set 90-minute intervals. Use noise-canceling headphones. Make the cue so strong and the friction so low that entering flow becomes automatic. And here's where most people mess it up. They try to do everything at once. Build one system, one habit, one anchor. Nail it, then add the next. Stack them like bricks. You don't need to become a machine overnight. You need to become unshakable, one system at a time. That's how you win the long game. That's how you build a lifestyle that sustains results instead of collapsing every time life gets hard. Because life will get hard, your energy will dip, stress will hit, curveballs will fly at you when you least expect it. That's when systems save you. That's when habits hold the line. That's when rituals act as your second brain, protecting your focus from collapse. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the strength of your systems always. So design your life like it's war, like distraction is the enemy. Like every inch of your day must be weaponized against mediocrity. Automate the right actions, eliminate the wrong ones. Structure your day so tightly that even when chaos comes knocking, your foundation doesn't move. You don't need more willpower. You need fewer moments where willpower is required. You need to wake up into a life that already moves in the direction of your mission. And yes, systems can feel rigid. They can feel robotic. But freedom is on the other side of that structure. Real freedom. The kind where you're not ruled by impulse. Not at the mercy of your phone. Not pulled in 10 directions by every shiny thing. You move when you choose. You act on purpose. You own your time. That's not restriction. That's control. Most people are living lives of reactive chaos, bouncing from one dopamine hit to the next, drowning in decision fatigue, wondering why they can't get ahead. Don't be most people. Be the architect. Be the one who designs their life like a fortress, strong, intentional, deliberate. Be the one who doesn't just hope for discipline, but builds it into their reality. It starts now. Look at your day. Look at your spay habits. Where is the friction? Where are the decision points killing your momentum? Where are the distractions entering through the cracks? Patch them. Simplify them. Systematize everything, from when you wake up to what you eat, to how you work, to how you recover. Build a life where the right choices are the easy ones. Not because you're perfect, because your system is powerful. This isn't about being strict. It's about being smart. You can still rest. You can still recover, but even recovery can be part of the system, scheduled, intentional, controlled, because even rest without discipline becomes escape. You want to become the kind of person who executes no matter what. Build the system. You want focus to become second nature. Build the system. You want to make deep work discipline and mental strength your default settings. Then stop trying to feel like it. Start making it automatic. That's how you win, not with bursts of motivation, but with relentless design. Not with ruthless design, but with execution every day. Repeated, unshakable, predictable, until who you are is no longer a battle. It's a byproduct of the system you built. Your future self is built in the structure you create today. So stop hoping. Start building. Let systems carry the weight. Let habits shape your days. Let discipline become effortless. Not because you're forcing it, but because your life was designed to support it. That's the code. Now execute it. The new normal, craving stillness and depth. You spent most of your life chasing noise. Constant movement, constant input, constant stimulation. That was your normal. Wake up and check the phone. Scroll until your eyes glaze over. Background music while you brush your teeth. Notifications, comments, chaos, headlines. 1,000 voices trying to tell you who to be, what to think, what to want. That was the rhythm of your days. But now the shift has begun. And you feel it, not just intellectually, but literally. Deep in your gut, your body knows that noise no longer satisfies. It no longer holds power over you. The distractions have lost their flavor. The chaos has lost its shine. You've started craving something deeper, something still, something powerful. You've entered the new normal. At first, it's disorienting, because this new normal isn't exciting in the way the old one was. It doesn't give you the rush, the spike, the sugar high of endless scrolling or fast pleasure. It's quieter, but stronger. It doesn't scream for attention. It sits in silence and waits for you to meet it there. And when you do, it rewards you with something the old world could never give: depth, clarity, peace, control. Not the kind of peace that numbs you, but the kind that sharpens you. The kind that strengthens your grip on every inch of your life. And when that becomes your new normal, everything changes. The stillness becomes naked. You don't crave constant entertainment anymore. You crave progress. You crave solitude. You crave the heavy silence of early mornings when the world hasn't woken up yet and your thoughts are clear. You crave deep work sessions where hours pass like minutes and your vision sharpens like a blade. You crave books, long conversations, workouts without music, focus without dopamine. Not because you're trying to be better, but because you finally feel better this way. This is the gift of detox. The further you get from distraction, the more you realize what you were truly missing. Not pleasure, not excitement, not fun, but power, ownership of your own mind, command over your time, the ability to choose what matters without interference. That's the real reward, and once you taste it, you can't go back. The stillness isn't empty. It's full of insight, full of direction, full of quiet truth you never had time to hear before. In the past, the noise filled every crack, every insecurity, every doubt, every question. You never had to face them because you were constantly distracted. But now you sit with them. You face them. You hear what they're trying to tell you. And instead of running, you respond. You take action. You get stronger. Depth becomes the standard. You no longer tolerate surface-level thinking, shallow conversations, or empty tasks. You want to build. You want to understand. You want to break things down and reconstruct them from the ground up. You start looking at everything in your life through a different lens. Is this shallow? Is this noise? Is this real? Is this aligned? If it's not aligned, it gets removed. No guilt, no hesitation, just clarity and action. That's what the new normal gives you: sharpness. Your decisions become faster because your mind isn't cluttered. Your energy is higher because it's not scattered. Your focus is deeper because it's not hijacked by algorithms and notifications and superficial urgency. You reclaim time, and with it, you reclaim your life. The best part, this clarity compounds. Every day you choose depth, your brain rewires itself to crave it even more. The neural pathways you once fed with noise now feed on progress. Your biology starts serving your mission instead of sabotaging it. Focus becomes instinct. Stillness becomes strength. The default is no longer distraction, it's discipline. And it's not just your work that improves. Your relationships shift. You don't want small talk anymore. You want real talk. Eye contact. Presence. Honesty. You stop looking for validation from people who don't even know who they are. You start protecting your energy like a warrior guarding a sacred flame. If someone brings noise, gossip, drama, or chaos, they get distance. Not because you're above them, but because you're no longer willing to participate in anything that dulls your edge. Even your environment changes. You don't want clutter. You don't want mess. You want clean space, calm colors, order, everything in its place, because that outer order reflects your inner state. You stop buying things you don't need. You stop seeking novelty just to fill the void. You'd rather sit in silence than chase another shallow thrill. The void is gone because the stillness has filled it. And yes, this will make you feel different, because you are different now. You operate at a level most people don't even know exists. You're no longer moved by trends or popular opinion. You've gone too deep. You've detached from the superficial. You're not chasing hype. You're building legacy. And when people try to pull you back, when they ask why you're so distant, so intense, so weird, you won't even flinch. You'll smile, because you know what they don't. Stillness is power. Depth is the new wealth. Silence is the new strategy. Let them stay distracted. Let them stay addicted. Let them keep refreshing apps looking for a purpose you've already found in your craft. You've chosen a different path, a path with fewer likes but more impact, fewer comforts but more strength, less dopamine but more meaning. And it's not just a phase. It's a transformation, a complete internal rewiring. Your nervous system is no longer conditioned for chaos. It's calm, centered, ready for war but grounded in peace. You're not meditating on a mountaintop. You're living in the middle of the storm and remaining unshaken. That's real power, the kind that doesn't need to prove anything to anyone. The kind that builds quietly, grows steadily, and hits hard when it's time to strike. The world won't understand you at first. That's okay. You're not here to be understood. You're here to become undeniable. And that doesn't happen in the spotlight. It happens in the shadows. in the quiet, in the hours where you choose depth while everyone else chooses distraction. That's where your advantage is built. That's where the new normal becomes permanent. You stop being reactive. You stop checking your phone first thing in the morning. You stop scrolling for validation. You don't need stimulation to feel alive. You create your own spark. You wake up and you create. You make. You move. You dominate your space. You execute with calm intensity because that's who you've become. That's what your nervous system has learned to love. This is not a trend. This is not a temporary lifestyle hack. This is the new foundation for how you live, think, act, and build. You've traded chaos for control. You've traded clutter for clarity. You've traded dopamine spikes for lasting momentum. And the longer you stay here, the stronger it gets. There will still be moments of temptation. The world will still try to pull you back into old patterns. But now you see it for what it is: manipulation, addiction, weakness in disguise. You've come too far. You've seen what's on the other side. You know the cost of going back, and you refuse to pay it. Instead, you double down. You go even deeper. You lean harder into the stillness. You stretch your focus. You raise your standards. You simplify your life. Because every time you do, you gain something you never had before: mastery over yourself. That's the win. That's the breakthrough. When the internal becomes unshakable. When your baseline is clarity, not confusion. When your default is discipline, not distraction. When you walk into any room knowing that your mind is yours and no one can take that from you. So keep going. Keep cutting the noise. Keep choosing solitude over stimulation. Keep building in silence while the world chases entertainment. Keep craving stillness. Because stillness is not the absence of life, it's the presence of power. This is your new normal now. Own it, live it, expand it, and let the world catch up, if it ever can. Chapter 90: Master Focused Workflow Over Friction. You've been told to hustle, to grind, to work harder, longer, faster. But here's the truth: no one's yelling from the rooftops. Most people are working hard but not working smart. They're grinding for 10 hours and producing the quality of 2. They confuse motion with progress, distraction with productivity, activity with achievement. But not you, not anymore, because now you've stepped into a new level of power. You've stopped glorifying the hustle and started mastering the real force that separates the elite from the average. You focused work, deep work, flow, the state where time dissolves and output explodes, the zone where your brain fires on all cylinders and you become unstoppable. Flow isn't magic. It's not some accidental zone athletes stumble into. It's a skill, a system, a state you train for, earn, and lock into through repetition and discipline. And once you master it, it becomes your weapon. While others waste hours dabbling, distracted, bouncing from task to task, you dial in, go deep, and produce more in 90 minutes than most produce in a full day. That's the advantage. That's the edge. Not more hours, more intensity. Not more business, more immersion. You stop fighting time and you start bending it. But flow doesn't happen by chance. You don't just sit down and expect it to show up. You have to remove the friction. You have to remove the noise. You have to create an environment where your mind is free to enter a single lane and stay there. That means no tabs open, no notifications pinging, no phones buzzing within reach, no social media feeds lingering in the background. That means shutting down the world and stepping into your domain. It means controlling the inputs so you can unleash your output. Your brain is a powerful machine, but only when it's focused. When it's scattered, it's soft, weak, drifting. But when it's locked into one clear goal with zero distractions, it transforms into something dangerous. Thoughts connect. Patterns emerge, energy builds, and the work you produce in that state isn't just better, it's brilliant, sharp, clear, ruthless. It hits deeper, it moves faster. Because it's built from a place of purity, not pollution. That's what most people never understand. They think discipline is about forcing themselves to sit at a desk all day, but real discipline is about removing the resistance that pulls you away from depth. It's about setting the scene so that when you sit down, your brain already knows it's go time, no warm-up, no hesitation, just execution. So build your flow ritual, make it sacred, make it yours. Maybe it's early morning silence. Maybe it's headphones and ambient music. Maybe it's a notebook beside your keyboard to catch stray thoughts. Whatever it is, build the system that signals your brain. Focus is now non-negotiable. Then protect it, guard it, fight for it. Because every interruption costs more than just the time it steals. It costs you momentum. It breaks the rhythm. And rhythm is where flow is born. You must learn to protect your focus. Protects his weapon. No compromise. No surrender. If someone texts you, they can wait. If a notification pops up, it gets turned off. If your mind wanders, you bring it back. Again and again, until it learns that the only thing that matters right now is the task in front of you. This isn't multitasking. This is war. This is domination of your attention, and that attention is the most valuable currency you own. Understand this: shallow work doesn't move the needle. Half-distracted effort doesn't build empires. You don't win by doing 100 things poorly. You win by doing a few things at a level most people can't even imagine. And that kind of mastery only comes from depth, from the willingness to go further into the work than anyone else, from the discipline to shut out everything else and go all in. And yes, it will be uncomfortable. Focused work feels unnatural at first. Your brain will resist. Your body will itch to check your phone, grab a snack, or scroll through something meaningless. That's the detox talking. That's your addiction to noise begging to be fed. Don't feed it. Starve it. Train your nervous system to associate discomfort with growth. Train it to sit still until it enters the zone. Because once you get through the resistance, flow kicks in. And when it does, it changes everything. You lose track of time. You stop analyzing every move. You just do. Freely, fiercely. That's flow, pure presence. No ego, no overthinking. Just forward motion. And the work that comes from that place doesn't just check boxes. It creates breakthroughs. Flow is the antidote to procrastination. It's the cure for burnout. It's the key to output that makes you proud. But it requires trust. Trust in the process. Trust in the stillness. Trust in your ability to go deep when everyone else stays shallow. And the more you trust it, the more you experience it. Until one day, it's no longer a state you visit. It's the place you live. That's mastery. And you build it through reps. Not random bursts, but consistent, deliberate, focused sessions stacked day after day after day. No excuses. No compromises. You sit down and you go in, whether you feel like it or not. Because you know that feeling will catch up once flow kicks in. Emotion follows action, not the other way around. So optimize everything for flow. Your sleep, your nutrition, your caffeine timing, your environment, your task clarity, your mental state. Every variable matters. Every detail either pulls you deeper or pulls you away. Become obsessive. Track what works. Refine what doesn't. Treat your mind like an elite athlete treats their body, because it is. And once flow becomes normal, you'll look back at your old work habits and wonder how you ever survived. You'll wonder how you used to sit for hours producing almost nothing. How you lived in a fog of distraction, half aware, half engaged, waiting for a spark that never came. You'll laugh at the idea that you once needed 10 hours to do what you now do in 2. That's the gift of deep work. It compresses time. It compounds skill. It accelerates results. It transforms you from someone who works hard into someone who delivers like a machine, not because you have superpowers, but because you removed the friction, stepped into flow, and never looked back. The world is drowning in busy work, in people pretending to be productive while doing nothing that matters. Don't be one of them. Be the anomaly. Be the focused one. The one who shows up, locks in, and creates like their life depends on it. Because it does. You want to build a legacy. You want to outlast the noise. You want to rise while others plateau. Then flow is your path. It's not about doing more. It's about doing with more presence, more depth, more intention. That's where your true strength lives. Not in the hours you clock, but in the moments you fully own them. All of them. Build the systems. Eliminate the distractions. Respect your attention like it's the last resource you have. Because it is. Your destiny isn't built in chaos. It's forged in clarity, in control, in flow. That's how the greats are made. That's how you become untouchable. Now lock in. Get quiet, and don't come up until something powerful has been created. This is how you work now. Chapter 100. The Forever Standard. Discipline as a lifestyle. Discipline isn't a phase. It's not a challenge. It's not a 30-day transformation. Discipline is a lifestyle. It's a forever standard. A decision you make once, and then live every day. It's not about the streak. It's about the identity. It's not about doing hard things for a little while until life gets easy. It's about becoming the kind of person who does what's necessary no matter what. Rain or shine, motivation or not, high energy, low energy, it doesn't matter. Discipline doesn't negotiate. It doesn't flinch. It doesn't fold. It acts. This is the final stage of the detox journey. Not just learning to escape distractions. Not just building habits or rewiring focus. It's about making discipline your default setting. Making it who you are. Not something you turn on and off like a light switch. Something that becomes your internal operating system. Something permanent. Because the real test isn't when everything's aligned. The real test comes when nothing's working, when your schedule gets messy, when life hits you sideways, when no one's watching. That's when you find out who you are, and if discipline isn't burned into your bones, you will fall back, you will regress, you will start telling yourself lies. It's okay to skip today. I'll catch up later. I'm tired. I've earned a break. But deep down, you'll know the truth. You didn't earn anything yet. You just surrendered to weakness in disguise. Discipline kills excuses, not because you don't feel them, but because you ignore them. You move through them. You do the work anyway, even when it's cold, even when it's uncomfortable, even when your feelings scream for rest and your mind whispers compromise. That's the moment you lean in. That's when you punch through, because you've trained yourself to honor the standard, no matter how you feel. That's what the forever standard is. It's non-negotiable. It doesn't bend with mood swings. It doesn't dance with distractions. It doesn't get bored and quit. It executes. It performs. It keeps showing up. And the more you live by it, the more power you accumulate. You no longer need to convince yourself to act. You act because not acting is no longer an option. You've built a personal code, and violating it feels like betrayal, not to the world, but to yourself. That inner contract becomes sacred, and when that happens, you become untouchable, because most people still live like discipline is punishment, like it's some tool they use when they hate themselves. They say things like, "I need to get my life together," when they've hit a low, like discipline is a consequence for failure. But you've come to understand the truth. Discipline isn't punishment, it's freedom. It's the path to strength, peace, order, control, and confidence. It's the bridge between potential and reality. It's the line between who you were and who you're becoming. And once it becomes a lifestyle, you stop having to think so much. You stop wasting energy debating basic decisions. You've already decided, I don't miss workouts. I don't skip deep work. I don't eat like trash. I don't start my day in chaos. I don't let distractions dictate my momentum. That's not me anymore. That's not the standard. That's not even an option. The decision has been made. The system has been built. The lifestyle has been chosen. And that's what people don't get. Discipline isn't just in the actions, it's in the mindset. The way you carry yourself, the way you speak, the way you treat time, food, energy, relationships, conversations. Everything is intentional. Everything is done with precision. You move differently. You walk into a room and people can feel your presence. Not because you're loud, but because you're locked in. You live by code. And in a world drowning in chaos, that stands out like a beacon. But don't get it twisted. This lifestyle isn't about being cold or robotic. It's about being powerful, grounded, clear. You know what you want. You know what it costs. And you're willing to pay that price every day, gladly. No complaining, no begging for shortcuts, no quitting halfway. You know that the discipline is the reward. The challenge is the gift. The consistency is the win. You stop chasing hype. You stop needing constant praise. You stop expecting the world to applaud you for doing what you were supposed to do in the first place. You don't need a cheer squad. You've got discipline. That's enough. And here's where it gets real. Once discipline is your lifestyle, the external doesn't control you anymore. You're no longer dependent on the perfect environment, the perfect mood, or the perfect moment. You create your own momentum. You generate your own fire. You don't need motivation, you are motivation. You don't need reminders. You embody the reminder. Every action is a signal to your future self that this is who we are now. This is the path we walk. This is how we operate. And because of that, you become unshakable. When others fold, you rise. When others slow down, you accelerate. When others wait for the right time, you make it the right time, because discipline gives you leverage. While they're tired, you're trained. While they're distracted, you're locked in. While they're making excuses, you're stacking wins. And those wins compound, quietly, relentlessly. You don't need to talk about it. You don't need to announce your discipline to the world. You let your results speak. You let your body speak. Your consistency, your focus, your output. Let them wonder how you never burn out. Let them ask how you always deliver. Let them try to keep up, because they can't. Not when you've built a life around showing up, regardless. And yeah, it will get hard. Discipline is not about comfort. It's about conviction. There will be days your body aches. Days you feel behind. Days you question the path. But discipline won't let you quit. It won't let you slide back into the softness of old habits. It will hold you in place while your emotions storm around you. It will remind you you've come too far to go back, because the old you, the one who needed dopamine just to get started, who quit when things got tough, who was addicted to instant gratification, that version is dead, buried in the grind, replaced by someone forged in fire, someone who wakes up with purpose and executes like it's a duty. Because it is. You're not here to survive. You're here to conquer. You're not here to manage your habits. You're here to master them. And you don't do that with hacks. You do it with daily execution, repetition, relentlessness. You do it by choosing discipline as your baseline, not your backup plan. And here's what makes it even more powerful. The longer you live this way, the more natural it becomes. The resistance fades. The routines click. The lifestyle starts working for you. You don't have to fight anymore. You just flow. Not because it's easy, but because it's yours. You built it. You lived it. You earned it. This is the ultimate shift. When discipline becomes who you are, not just what you do. When showing up isn't a struggle, it's your nature. When quitting isn't an option, it doesn't even cross your mind. That's the forever standard. That's how you separate yourself from the crowd. That's how you live a life few ever touch. So no, this journey doesn't end. This mindset doesn't expire. This lifestyle doesn't get traded in when things get easier. Because the truth is, the path never gets easier. You just get stronger. And the stronger you get, the higher your standards rise. You demand more from yourself. You expect more. And you deliver again and again. That's not burnout. That's evolution. So ask yourself, is this how you want to live? Do you want to wake up every day with a system so powerful that distractions can't touch you? Do you want to be the person who executes not because they have to, but because they can't not? That's what's waiting on the other side of discipline as a lifestyle. Not pressure, but peace. Not rigidity, but freedom. Not obsession, but identity. You are the standard. You are the structure. You are the rhythm. And the world, it'll try to tempt you back. It'll try to seduce you with comfort. But you'll laugh, because you've built something better, and no one can take it from you. So keep showing up, keep locking in, keep setting the tone every single day. This is who you are now. This is forever.